Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Elephant in the Room. It has been a little while since we've seen you guys, and we are so glad to be back in the studio. Today, we are going to be having a guest who's going to be talking about all kinds of fun things, actually, not just one topic. We're going to cover everything from UFOs to contact in the desert to Hollywood and the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. Our guest today is Dan Harary, and he is the author of several books. He was born and raised outside of Asbury Park, New Jersey, and he is a man of many talents. He's best known for his 40-plus year career in Hollywood as an entertainment industry publicist and owner of the boutique Asbury PR agency in Beverly Hills. Dan is also the author of 5 books: Flirting with Fame, After They Came, Carrots, and My Paranormal Life, and 5. He's also a 3-time UFO experiencer and a longtime UFO researcher. Was a professional drummer as a youngster and performed stand-up comedy in LA's top comedy houses during the late 90s and early 2000s. Like I said, this guy we're going to have a great time today. I can't wait to hear all his stories. He's also the creator and chairman of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance and is the host of his weekly podcast, Live from Hollywood. It's Paranormal Tonight. So please welcome to our show, Dan Harary, and we will pop him into the stage.
Here he is. Oh, that's me.
Here he is.
Hi, ladies. Thank you very much for having me. Well, sometimes when I hear my bio, I'll be 68 in June. Okay. When I hear my bio, I go, when did I do all those things? Like,
That's great.
when did I sleep?
It would be great to feel that way because it just means it went by like this, and you must still feel young and like ready to take on the world.
Mentally, I got stuck at 15. I mean, I'll always be 15. I'm a very immature person.
Oh
The fact
gosh.
that I have 2 grown children, I've run businesses and met every famous movie star on the planet and written 5 books and created the Hollywood Disclosure. It's like, okay, I'm 15. How did I do any of those things?
I love that. I really, really love that idea that you can like create this whole world and still look back and have energy for like more. And it's clear that you have energy for more because not only are you you do all these things that we mentioned, but you're also like the publicist for Contact in the Desert, correct? So
Yes, and that's true. And I'm producing some of the events there as well. I mean, I'm not a producer. I'm a co-producer of a few events taking place there. But
that's great.
professionally, I've been a Hollywood publicist for over 40 years. And I wrote my book After They Came, which was published a year ago. And we could do all these things separately, but just real quick, that book came
Tell
out.
us.
The book came out last year. I befriended many of the top UFO researchers in the world because of my book. So it's only been a year. I've only been hardcore into UFO
Oh.
world. I've been studying UFOs since 2007, but I've only been hardcore deep 1 year, exactly 1 year. A year ago, 2023, I went to Contact in the Desert with Steve Bassett, and we'll get to Steve Bassett. He invited me. I went last year. I knew no one. I mean, I knew who they were. These are famous people: Richard Dolan, Nick
Right.
Pope, George Norrie, Whitley Strieber. I mean, the list is endless. So I know these people. They don't know me. No one knew me. Okay. 1 year later, which is now, everyone knows me. Everyone knows me. And I can't believe it. I mean, it's quite remarkable that it happened. My mother goes, "You reinvented yourself in 1 year, didn't you, Danny?" And I go, "Yeah, Ma. My mother's 90. God bless her." So anyway, go ahead.
Oh.
So there
No,
we
I
go.
think that's really interesting because I can relate to that. Not that everyone knows me, because that's certainly not the case, but this reinventing yourself in this community. And I think Ariel and I both kind of feel a little bit like that. What was it that, like a year ago, made you really shift your direction into this community?
Well, it's my entire life changed because of my book. Now I've written 5 books, but the one book here, this one, After They
After
Came.
they came.
Mhm.
Tell
Now
us about it.
the story about the book, which I'll do in a second, is remarkable in that the book was given to me as a paranormal gift from above, literally. And I'll tell you the story. I believe it was from my father after he passed away. He gave me the book from heaven, and when I tell the story, and it's true, and I've told it around the world for 2 years, every time I tell it, I still can't believe it happened.
Mhm.
So anyway, once the book was published a year ago, March 1st last year, this book was published. I went to Alien Con last March in Pasadena, California. I had a booth there to promote my book, and there I met Nick Pope, Paul Hynek, George Knapp, not Lou Elizondo. I always get him mixed up with Jeremy Corbell,
Jeremy Corbell.
David Childress. I'd known Giorgio Tsoukalos for years. I had met him countless times, so I saw Giorgio. I met Eric Von Daniken. I gave Eric my book. I said, Eric, thank you for all you've done for us. Here's a gift. I gave him my book. He goes, I haven't read this one yet. I go, Eric, it came out yesterday. That's probably why you haven't seen it yet. So I got my picture taken with Eric Von Daniken. I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. That was the very top of March. 2 weeks later, I was promoting my book at UFO'Con in San Francisco, and I had a booth there. My brother met me there. He lives in Monterey. And while we were there, I met some more remarkable people, and I met Stephen Bassett. Steve Bassett, you know who he is. Steve Bassett is, I call him the godfather of the disclosure movement. You know, he and Stephen Greer, the Stevens, and he also includes Steven Spielberg. So he calls it the three Stevens. Steve Bassett gave a talk at about disclosure at UFO'Con San Francisco last March. Okay, so a year ago last week it was. And my brother and I were there, and my brother goes, God, this guy's really brilliant. And I'm like, this is amazing, right? I didn't know about disclosure.
Mhm.
I've been studying the UFO topic and Roswell and the pyramids and ancient alien theory and all these things for years, but I didn't know about disclosure, really. He spoke, brilliant. Afterwards, he was in the restaurant with some friends. I was there with my brother. I said, Stephen, I really enjoyed your lecture. Here's a copy of my book as a gift. I gave him my book. He goes, cool. What do you do? I said, I'm a publicist. You're a publicist? He stood up. You're a publicist? He goes, I need a publicist. We exchanged business cards. That was last March. 2 months later, May last year, late May, tail end of May, he was in LA. He lives in Washington, D.C. He was in LA. He goes, hey, I'm in LA. You want to have lunch? I said, sure. We had lunch in Hollywood. He told me his life story. I told him my life story. At the end of this lunch, Stephen looked at me and said, Dan, what can we do together?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm looking at Steve Bassett like this. I swear to you, this is all true. I looked up in the sky like this. I came back. I said, Stephen, we're going to create the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. I didn't know what that was. I had no idea what that was. He goes, that's exactly right. We shook hands. That was the birth of the Hollywood. We didn't know what it was.
That's crazy.
I just came up with the 3 words because it just, okay. I was thinking, okay, I'm Hollywood. He's
Mhm.
disclosure.
Mhm.
Hollywood, what can we do together? Hollywood Disclosure Association, group, society, alliance. It just came, HDA. It just came to me.
Wow.
So that's how it was born. 4 days later was Contact in the Desert last year. Stephen invited me. Now I'd never been. Now I live in Beverly Hills. To Contact, it's, you know, with traffic, man. It could be 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's not that far, but with traffic, yes, it's very far. So I went out last year. Stephen put me up in his room. We shared that room. I was his roommate that weekend. He introduced me to everyone. Dolan, Pope, George Norrie, Tom Danheiser is George's producer, Ron Janix, the owner, Katie Page from Colorado. And I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is like meeting the greatest, you know, I've been a rock person my whole life, and I've met a lot of rock stars. I worked with Bruce Springsteen in 1973. I was 16. That's a whole nother story. But as a fan of ufology, when you read, when you're meeting Nick Pope and Richard Dolan
Yeah.
and Katie Page and Whitley Strieber and one after the next after the next, it's a kid in a candy store. So we told Nick Pope and Richard Dolan and all these people, George Norrie, that we're going to create the Hollywood disclosure. Now, it didn't exist. There was no such thing. We didn't have a logo. We didn't have a website. It was not yet a corporation. It just was 3 words. Every person, you guys, every person. George Norrie said, Danny, I want to be your first member. He said to my face, George Norrie.
Wow.
Nick Pope, he goes, Dan, of course I want to join that. Nick Pope. I'm like, really? Richard Dolan? Yeah, I want to join that. Okay, so that's how it was. That's how it was born. It was born from 3 words from a lunch. After that, so my daughter Anjali is a very gifted graphic artist. She created a logo. She created a website. And then last fall, Stephen invited everyone he knew. I invited everyone I knew who's interested in these areas. UFOs, UAPs, ETs, alien technology. We invited his friend. I call it chocolate and peanut butter. Stephen and I are chocolate and peanut butter. I think I'm chocolate. I think he's peanut butter. We invited a lot of people. We started with me and Stephen, and then we got Nick Pope, Richard Dolan, and George Norrie like on day 1. Okay, so when you're starting with them on day 1, it's like, okay, well, everyone's going to come in. And today we have 100 and I believe it's 130, 140 members.
Wow.
Several of them are international. HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org. I am the chairman. Stephen is the executive director. We run it together with my daughter. My daughter is the secretary of the company. It's a nonprofit corporation. That took months, man. We got approved by the IRS. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit. We have the top UFO researchers in the world. We have Shirley MacLaine. Thomas Jane is a movie star. Dee Wallace from ET, movie star. Wow. One of my best friends, she's in there. Dave Foley, famous comedic actor, he's in there. Hollywood producers, writers, directors, performers are on one side, and then Richard Dolan, Nick Pope, Steve Bassett, Whitley Strieber, Jason Martell, Katie Page. You'd have to look because I always forget. There's so many of them. Ron Janix, the owner of Contact. So we have a UAP side. Yeah, there you go. So if you click founding members up top, founding members, there's 2 categories. That's founders. That's me and Stephen. Move over there. So yeah, click UAP. Click that one. Okay, and then if you scroll.
Wow.
Now, many of these, Richard Dolan, his wife Tracy, Linda Moulton Howe.
Yep.
Right. Ron James is the head of MUFON Media. Margie Kay is the head of the UNX Broadcasting Network. Lynn Katai, the Phoenix Lights lady.
Yeah.
Ella LeBain's a biblical scholar who knows about ETs and the Bible. Kathy Martin, right? See Kathleen? She's a friend of mine. Her aunt and uncle were Betty and Barney Hill.
Oh, wow.
Jason Martell from Ancient Aliens. Toby Martinez.
I know Toby.
Yeah. He's the writer with the Roswell Daily Record.
Yeah.
Steve Murillo was the head of MUFON SoCal for about 25 years. Just George Norrie. Katie Page is a longtime UFO experiencer.
This is a powerhouse.
I mean, this is crazy. Look at that.
Whitley Strieber, Paul Stonehill. He's famous for Russian and Chinese. Sev Talk is my new friend.
What does this mean?
These are the UAP people, and then you go to the Hollywood people, and it's also very impressive.
So what does this mean as far as what does their membership mean for the group, and like what tell us about it.
Sure. So essentially what Stephen and I did was created a networking, it's not a dating, this is not a dating service, but think of it as it's almost like a matchmaking service in a way. Okay,
Mhm,
this
mhm,
guy on the
mhm,
right, bottom right there, who's looking off to the side. He
mhm.
produced. He's the producer of a movie with Liam Neeson. I mean,
Mm.
he's a
Oh,
major film producer.
right.
We are networking together
Mhm.
people who research UFOs and ETs, researchers, experiencers, and disclosure advocates. Now, many of these people, like Stephen Greer, 30 plus years. These are
Right.
people who have been toiling away for
Yeah.
30 years. And abductees, some of these women that
Yes.
I know have been abducted, had
Mhm.
fetuses implanted and then taken. Dave Foley's famous. See him?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
experiencers, researchers, disclosure. There's my daughter. Is she beautiful?
Oh, she's
Oh, I love her
gorgeous.
name. Her name is
I was
beautiful. Where
just
did
gonna
you Yeah, where
Thank you.
did you get that name?
Anjali. I had nothing to do with that name.
beautiful.
my
Beautiful.
my ex-wife Kim was pregnant and she was reading a book called The Far Pavilions. And The Far Pavilions is a book. It was a movie with Amy Irving too. It's a book about an Hindu Indian girl named Anjali. So
Mm.
my wife was pregnant. She goes, Danny, when we have our daughter, her name is Anjali. I said, are you insane? I said, are you insane? I said, no one will ever say it or spell it correctly. Her name needs to be Lauren. And Kim said, no, 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 no. Her name's Anjali. And I said, no, 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 no. Her name's Lauren. Okay. The day she was born, they pulled her out of there. They handed her to me. And I swear to God, I looked at her. I said, hi, Anjali. How are you? I'm your father. It
Oh,
came,
I love
Oh,
that.
it came out of my mouth. So her name is Anjali Lauren. That's her name.
oh, it's
Perfect. I love it.
beautiful. I love it. Wow, this is
Camille,
cool.
Camille. All right, let's go. Camille on the left is a dear
Mhm.
friend of mine. She was abducted, impregnated, and months later her fetus was taken. She was just on a TV show called Alien Disclosure Files.
Oh,
Shauna is one of
wow.
my best friends. She's a music executive in Hollywood. Keep going if you want. Shirley MacLaine, nothing serious, right? Lisa
Wow.
Puzo. All right, so Lisa Puzo, if she wasn't married, I would have asked her to marry me. I'm in love with her. Her uncle, she lives in Nashville. I love her. I adore her.
Mm.
Her uncle wrote The Godfather. Her uncle
Oh my
wrote.
Wow.
goodness, are you serious? That's one
Oh
of my
my
husband's
God.
favorite movies.
Okay,
Oh, is it
so
really?
Yeah,
Mario Puzo wrote The Godfather. Look at her name, Lisa
Yeah.
Puzo
that's
Strickland.
so cool.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Donna Ramirez is one of the most beautiful women I've ever met. I've had dinner with her twice. She's married to a very wealthy guy. She's a famous Hollywood actress. A doll,
Wow.
absolute doll, absolute doll.
Mm.
Aaron Semmel on
Very
the left. Aaron Semmel's partner is Kevin Costner. Nothing serious. Okay, so to answer
yeah.
you, networking group that is trying to meld the stories from researchers and experiencers, the stories,
Yeah.
with
Mhm.
people who have the power and the talent to get the stories on a screen.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
and
Absolutely necessary.
I also include books. So feature
Great.
films, TV shows, documentaries, and books. So we nurture these stories across all media. And we have a Slack chat. Now, all right. So to answer you, Chris, we have
Yeah.
several things. One, we have monthly live events in person
Okay.
here in LA. A few weeks ago, we had our first real event. We had 75 people, and the event was the making of Project Blue Book, the TV series. And we had the producers of that show there. And one of the producers is Paul Hynek, who's on my board. Well, Paul Hynek's father was J. Allen Hynek.
Yes,
Oh my
I know Paul.
goodness.
So that was our first event, and it was a home run. It was fantastic. So we're going to do live events. We have a newsletter called the Wow Signal. Do you guys know what the Wow Signal was?
No, I've
Hmm.
heard of the WOW signal. Yes.
Okay,
Some kind of WOW,
yeah,
right?
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Ariel, you need to find that one. I believe it was in the early 70s.
Hmm.
A scientist, I think it was at not SETI, I think it was at the the Jet Propulsion Labs in Pasadena.
Mm.
They got a signal from outer space, a radio signal from outer space. It was a message. It was all digital. It was a digital message, and it only happened once. So the scientist who got it wrote in his hand with a pen, "Wow, WOW exclamation point."
Mm-hmm.
So I said to my daughter, I said, "Well, I want to call my newsletter the Wow Signal." So she created the logo for us for the Wow Signal. It's a monthly newsletter. I could add
love
you
that.
guys. I could add you guys. So we have
Oh,
live
I love
events.
that.
We have a newsletter. Probably the coolest thing we have is a dedicated Slack channel. You guys know what Slack is? It's an IM. It's IM. You could have unlimited people talking to each other at the same time.
Mhm.
We have a Slack channel for our members. I believe we have 70 members in there, and they talk to each other. Hey, I have a screenplay. Does anyone recommend a good documentary film about it? Or I'll be speaking at the Contact in the Desert. Come meet me. I want to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Stephen calls it a pure networking group.
Mm-hmm.
It's an alliance. It's a real alliance, and it's between two disparate groups. These groups have never been brought together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, other than Spielberg, of course, Spielberg, J.J. Abrams, James Cameron, a few major, M. Night Shyamalan, a few major directors have really tried to do a good job with this area. But by and large, the UAP filmmakers and authors and experiencers, they're out in the wilderness, and the Hollywood people are doing fiction. Independence Day, War of the Worlds. So many movies, they come to kill. I always say they come to kill us or eat us, right? And what we're
Not
trying
in
to do,
Arrival. Not in Arrival. Have you seen Arrival with Amy Adams?
correct. That's exactly right. So the
It's one of my favorite movies.
Exactly right, Ariel. So the exceptions are E.T., Close Encounters, Arrival, maybe one or two others, maybe. Okay. Now, one of my favorite movies of all time is The Day the Earth Stood Still. I've seen that 10 times. I love that movie.
Keanu Reeves, right?
That's the remake, my little friend.
You're talking. There's an original. I didn't know there was an original.
Ariel, I have shoes older than you. Oh my God, Keanu Reeves. The first one was like 1952. I mean, hello.
Oh,
my goodness. I didn't know it was a remake. I thought the one with Keanu Reeves was an original.
All right. You want to hear a funny story?
Yes.
All right. Please, both of you. You have to watch the original Day the Earth Stood Still from the 1950s, black and white.
Okay.
Incredibly powerful movie.
Okay.
The director of that movie was a man named Robert Wise, W-I-S-E. He also directed a little thing called The Sound of Music.
Oh. Wow. Okay.
My first job in Hollywood, 1982, was I worked at the American Film Institute. I worked with the guy who ran that film college there. Robert Wise was his teacher there. Okay. So Oscar-winning movie director Robert Wise and me, I just got off the boat from back east. I had $6 to my name. He and I used to pee together in the men's room almost every single day for 2 years. 2 years. Every time I had to pee, he had to pee. It's in my book. And every time I'd say, Mr. Wise, we simply have to stop meeting this way. And we would laugh every single time. This is an Oscar-winning legendary director and me, and we're peeing together. I don't know how many hundreds of times.
Goodness.
In the men's room every single time.
I'm going to take you back to the beginning of this conversation and say, remember he said he's stuck at 15 or 16, because I know my husband is the exact same way.
Oh yeah, I'm painfully immature person.
Same kind of story.
I'm the most painfully immature man that I've ever known.
Oh my goodness. Makes for a good time though.
Yeah.
I've been known to be amusing. All right, ask me something, because I could just go off.
Well, I have a question. So what is the process like when you are trying to sort of recruit the Hollywood celebrity type people to join? I mean, how do you pitch it to them?
Okay, that's a really good question. Well, at the very start of this, we were getting all the UFO people. I mean, that was easy. Okay.
Right.
Steve Bassett. Okay, one of my best friends on the planet is Dee Wallace.
Oh.
She's
Oh,
the mother
wow.
from E.T., the movie
Yeah.
Oh,
star.
wow. Yeah.
She's one of my best friends, okay?
Aw.
So I said, "Dee, I have this fakakta group that I just started. You're the mother of E.T." I said, "Please, I need you to join." She said, "Dan,
Mm.
anything for you." I mean, we love each other.
Yeah.
So Dee Wallace joined on day one.
I see.
I have E.T.'s mother on day one.
Mhm.
Okay. And then Steven invites Thomas Jane, famous movie star. Can you see
Mhm.
this?
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Thomas Jane is one of my favorite movie stars. He said,
Wow.
"Yeah, I'll come in." He's known Steven for 10 years. So we started with 2 movie stars on day one,
Mhm.
and then Dania Ramirez came in, and then then we got all the producers from Project Blue Book. That, Ariel, it was harder because they're like, "What is this group exactly?" And then when we
Right.
explained it,
We're like,
okay,
we don't
that's
know yet.
kind of interesting. So we on day one we had a million UFOs and we had like maybe 10 Hollywood, and Steven is like, "We got to get more Hollywood people." I said, "I know. So my friends, past clients of mine, I spread the word. He spread the word. My
Mhm.
daughter did social media things, and they started slowly but surely to come in. And that was last summer, last fall. We
Mhm.
launched
Wow.
November 2nd, officially, November 2nd. I represent the Hollywood. I represent Musso and Frank, the most famous Hollywood restaurant, Musso and Frank. It's my biggest client.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
That's where Charlie Chaplin put them on the map in the 20s.
Oh, wow.
So we launched November 2nd at Musso and Frank we had 50 people in person and we had 25 people on Zoom from around the
Wow.
world on day one.
Really?
So on day one, we had 75, Dolan, Pope, major
Yeah.
people on Zoom, and then people in the audience, Thomas Jane, Dania Ramirez, Dee Wallace couldn't make it. So that was our launch. And then we got some press. In Hollywood, the most important media outlet here is called Deadline.com. Deadline.com. Used to be Variety, used to be the Hollywood Reporter. Now the biggest one is called Deadline.com. So they ran an article, Hollywood Disclosure Alliance launches. Here's who the members are. Dan Harary and Steve Bassett created this thing. Well, once the Deadline article ran,
Mm.
okay, that's when my emails started to hey, Dan, I heard about this. So you're a
Wow.
UFO publicist now. I go, yeah, I guess so. So that's how it happened. But if you look, it's we're pretty
Yeah.
even now on
Yeah.
that
And
website.
that was my question is, are you finding the interest to be increasing from the Hollywood side? Are they sensing that things are progressing in the direction where these types of stories are going to become more prominent?
It's a really good question. I would say every week I probably get 10 emails from people around the world. Can I join?
Mm.
Some of these people I've been abducted since the age of 2. My husband is Bigfoot and I live in a tree.
Mm.
I'm probably not going to put you in there. Your husband's
Yeah.
Bigfoot, probably, I wish you
Yeah.
well. I'm probably not going to put you in there. So I get those, the tin hats. I
Right.
get those, I've been abducted repeatedly. I know Jorthon from Quicknarg, and he's my father. Oh, really? Jorthon from Quicknarg? Really? Tell me more. So whether or
Yeah,
not
it's tough.
and it's probably true, but I need a little bit
Yeah.
more like down to earth. So I get
Right.
lots of those. The Hollywood side has been slowly more organic. People telling other
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
There's no stampede of people coming from Hollywood. Now,
Yeah. Okay.
Dan Aykroyd, the famous Dan Aykroyd from
Of course.
Ghostbusters. He's been into UFOs for 30 years.
Mhm.
Steve Bassett knows him. One of my board members knows him. We have invited him 10 times. And his publicist says, thanks. He knows about you. Maybe someday, not now. Really? Dan Aykroyd? You're not going to join? Really? Really?
Yeah.
You? He's
Mm.
so into this topic. A lot of very, very, very big, famous people. Demi Lovato.
Mhm. Lovato,
She's
Demi Lovato.
she's been
An
seeing aliens.
experiencer, right?
She's been seeing aliens her whole life. Goldie Hawn since the 20s. I've invited anyone. If you Google, this is interesting. If you Google celebrities who have had UFO or ET encounters, you will see at least 30 very, very famous people. I believe Keanu Reeves, Tom Cruise, a lot of very famous people. I've invited all of them in.
And none of them want to.
I've invited Spielberg, J.J. Abrams, M. Night Shyamalan, James Cameron, major Hollywood directors. And, Spielberg's lawyer, Dan, thanks. He knows about you. Thanks. He's too busy. Really? Yeah. I mean, really? He can't just join, like just be on our board? Just that? Really? Spielberg? Really? Okay. He doesn't want to join. So Ariel, it's been kind of a challenge to get famous people in.
Yeah.
But we have Dee Wallace, Thomas Jane, Dave Foley, Donnie Ramirez. Those are all famous people. And another guy named Michael Ian Black, who's semi-famous. The rest are behind the scenes writers. We have a lot of writers. We have behind the scenes Hollywood people. Listen, we're only a few months old.
Yeah.
And now at Contact in the Desert, in addition to me being the publicist there, I'm doing the first ever Hollywood Disclosure Alliance panel. It'll be a panel at Contact. So I'll be hosting it. It's me, Thomas Jane, Dee Wallace, Dave Foley, Stephen Bassett, and then 2 award-winning documentary filmmakers, Serena DC and Michael Mazzola. Michael Mazzola's made a lot of films with Stephen Greer. So we will. Contact is going to be like our coming out party to 3,000 people.
Yeah.
So I will be emceeing that panel. We have an HDA booth at that show, and all the people I just mentioned, including me and Nick Pope and George Norrie and others, will be at the booth signing autographs and taking photos. So we will be really coming out. HDA will be officially coming out at that show. I might want to say, I do want to add this. We are a nonprofit. We need help with donations, okay? Sure. We have been bootstrapping this, me, Stephen, my daughter, and one other guy from day one. We just recently got blessed by the IRS. So just became a nonprofit. We have on our website a donation page, donate. So my daughter will kill me if I don't say, please go to HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org. She'll kill me if she ever sees this. And click donate, and you'll see it could be $1, it could be $1 million, whatever you want. But we are seeking financial donations because otherwise we don't know how long we'll be able to sustain.
Right.
Sure. Okay, good to know. Thank you for talking about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to us a little bit more about your book, if you will.
Sure. Okay. Well, let me just quickly do my first book. So Flirting with Fame. Okay. This is my fun book. Okay. This is my fun book. You guys, you should read it. Flirting with Fame, a Hollywood publicist. I always forget. Hollywood publicist recalls 50 years of celebrity close encounters.
Celebrity close
encounters. I love that title. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was my first book. I wrote it during the start of COVID because what else can you do during COVID, right?
Yeah.
Well, during COVID, my PR business came to a halt. Everything came to a halt. So one day I'm sitting with myself and I said, I've been meeting celebrities since I'm 15 years old. So I wrote down in chronological order all the hundreds of celebrities that I've met or worked with from 15.
Wow.
Okay. And there were so many of them that I'm like, maybe this is a book, Danny. Maybe this is a book. You should write a book. So I'm like, yeah, maybe this is a book. So I did it purely for something to do during COVID. I had nothing else to do. I wrote this book during COVID. I thought on a lark. Then I thought, I have so many photos from my scrapbooks of me with celebrities. I should put the photos in the book. So I did that. And then it took me about 8 months to write it. When it was done with the photos took forever.
Oh,
actually,
I bet.
no, wait, hold on a second. The book took 3 months to write. The photos took me 6 months to get approvals for, okay, to get
Oh.
approvals. I had, all right, I have
Wow.
a picture of me with Spielberg from 2010. Now, I'm not going to put that in my book unless I get some kind of permission. I had to remember the photographer who shot that picture from 2010.
No
And
way.
that was hard because my memory isn't what it used to be.
Yeah.
I tracked him down and he said, Dan, give me $150. You have my permission. The photographer owns the photos, not really the celebrity, the photographer who shot
Mm.
it. It took me
Interesting.
months. I had to track down all these photographers. Now, some of these photographers are dead. Some
Oh.
I absolutely did not remember. Some were taken by myself or friends. So that took forever and ever to get the photo credits. So
Wow.
I did all that. Now I'm like, okay, I have a book. This is definitely a book. I'll probably self-publish on Amazon and I'll make copies for my friends. That was the goal. I called my friend Ray the day I finished writing the book. My friend Ray has written many, many books. He wrote The History of the Simpsons. He wrote the Betty White book that came out the week she passed away.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
Ray Richmond, one of my best friends. I said, Ray, I have this dopey book. What should I do? Because he's a published author. What should I do? He goes, there's a company in Florida called Bear Manor, BEAR, Bear Manor Media. He goes, all they do is Hollywood books. You should reach out to them. I said, okay. So this is all true. I sent it the day I finished writing the book. I emailed the owner of Bear Manor. I said, hi, Ben. My name is Dan. I'm a publicist. I'm in Hollywood. I wrote a dopey book. Here's a synopsis. Here's a few photos. I have no idea what to do with this. If you have any interest, not in a million years, you guys, not in 1 million years did I think anything would happen. I wrote one email. 1 hour later, the guy lives in Japan. 1 hour later, he goes, Dan, not only am I interested in your book, here's your contract.
You're
Oh.
kidding me.
This is an hour after I finished writing the book. An hour.
That's amazing.
I think I probably cried. I called my mother. I said, Mom, you're not going to believe this. I'm going to be
Oh.
what are you talking about? You know. So I got to publish it. So that book, all right, that book came out in 2022. I've done interviews all over the world. I was in the LA Times. I was in the New York Daily News, the Village Voice. I got a lot of press on that book. That's a fun book. It's my funny stories about Hollywood. When I was a teenager, I had long hair. I played the drums. I worked at a concert hall in high school. After school, I rode my bike there. I didn't even drive. I worked with Bruce Springsteen in 1973. He was not famous. Nobody knew who he was.
Oh.
Clarence Clemens. Do you know who Clarence Clemens was? His sax player, Bruce's
Sax
sax
player,
player.
right? Yeah, I've heard of
Right.
him. Wow.
He passed away. Clarence Clemens asked me and this is a true story. I'm 16. Clarence Clemens asked me and my best friend, do you guys want to go on be the road crew for Bruce Springsteen? Do you want to go on the road crew for Bruce Springsteen? 1973. I said, Clarence, we're only 16. We don't drive yet, and I'm pretty sure our fathers want us to go to college. Okay, so that's how my book starts, is with Bruce Springsteen. So then you go through Mel Brooks, Steven Spielberg, Jerry Seinfeld, Alice Cooper, Hugh Hefner, Steve Allen, Milton Berle, Sid Caesar, Jay Leno. I was Jay Leno's publicist for 2 years when he got the Tonight Show.
Wow, that's crazy. That's fun.
Jack Black, Mickey Dolenz, the drummer from the Monkees, my childhood hero. I used to have lunch with him. So that's that book. Okay. Now, the other book is entirely different. In 1970, I'll do it quickly. March 1970, I was 14 years old. My father drove me home from school. It was daylight. March 1970, I was almost 14. My dad's driving me home. I look through the windshield of my father's car. There's a huge silver V, letter V, craft, UFO craft, V, above my father's car, hovering in the sky, 200, 300 feet. I look up to windshield. I said, Dad, stop the car. Stop the car. There's a UFO. Dad, stop the car. Stopped the car. He and I got out. He stood in front of the car. I literally, you guys, I'm jumping up and down. Dad, look, UFOs, this giant thing is in the sky above us. Look, Dad, look. My father looked at it like bored to tears, no interest, wasn't scared, wasn't excited, no reaction, zero reaction, like nothing. Like he was looking at a head of lettuce in the supermarket. Okay, now I'll tell you more.
That's interesting.
Because there's a reason. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we saw it. I was thrilled, man. And he had no reaction. Then he goes, come on, kid, let's go home. Get in the car, go home. Now, this is 1970. We had rotary phones. Do either of you know what a rotary phone was? You put your finger in the phone and you dial? Ariel, you're so painfully young. So,
I'm not as young as I look. I'm 34.
Well, you look like you're about 19.
Really? I'm 34. Thank you, though. That you made my day.
Well, my daughter turns 34 April 10th next week.
Oh my goodness!
So you're the same. Wow. You could be my daughter. If I'm your father, let's not tell my daughter; she'll be jealous. Anyway. Anyway, so I went home, rotary phone, and I called the Asbury Park Press newspaper, my hometown news. Hi, my name is Danny. I'm 14. I just saw a UFO with my dad. Just saw a UFO. And the lady said, Sonny, I can't talk to you right now. We're getting hundreds of phone calls about this. I'm very sorry. I have to go. And she hung up on me. And I remember that clear as day. Clear as day. Wow. She called me Sonny. I remember she called me Sonny. Hung up, right? No article ever ran in the newspaper. I looked every day that week. Nothing ever ran in the paper. Okay, here's the first good part of the whole story. I completely forgot that happened for 47 years. 47 years. Completely forgot that happened. Okay. Why?
What?
Why? I was a drummer. I was in bands. I was staring at girls from afar and being too shy to talk to them. I was, getting straight A's. I was going to Hebrew school, having my bar mitzvah. Being a good boy for my parents. I was a very good son for my parents. So zero recollection. Zero. Okay. Now the story really gets amazing. My father died in 2017 in Florida with his second wife. 3 days after my father died, I went to a deli, and I'm Jewish, so of course some of you probably picked up on some of that. I went to a deli in LA to get a pastrami sandwich and think about my dad, okay? And all I wanted to do was be alone and think about my father. I sat at the deli, I ordered my sandwich, I'm sitting there thinking about my dad. A beam of light or energy or something, a beam, powerful, from the sky, from the heaven, from above, bang, into my head like this, bang. And through my brain and my eyes, projected, and I swear to God this is true, in front of me, a hologram, home movie of the 1970 UFO sighting I had with my father. It played as though a home movie. Okay? In the air, like this, 10, 12 inches in front of me. Now, it wasn't from my point of view. It was as though there were a cameraman a few feet in front of me and my dad, because it was me and my dad, the UFO, and my dad's car. So it was like God took a whole movie. Mm-hmm. God took a whole movie of this, because I'm seeing me as a 14-year-old kid jumping up and down watching it.
Oh my God.
I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I forgot entirely about that. This is 3 days after my father died. Okay. Keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. I'm watching it. I'm like, wow. Oh my God. It played for like maybe a minute. At the end of the clip, ready for this one? My father winked at me. My father winked at me and said, come on, kid, let's go home. Okay. Then it stopped playing. It went away. I'm sitting there amazed. Then I asked my waiter, I don't even know why. I said, sir, can I have a pen? Asked my waiter for a pen. There was a paper placemat in front of me at this deli. It was paper. Gave me a pen. My hand, not me. If you know what automatic writing is, I never did it before or since, but I did it then. My hand wrote in the pen with the pen. Write a book about benevolent aliens. Lead character's father knew about UFOs. Capital A, capital T, capital C. My hand stopped moving. I look, I go, what the hell just happened here? Well,
After they
ATC,
came.
ATC, after they came.
After they came. Wow.
I ate my pastrami sandwich. I inhaled it. I drove home, and every day and night for the next 8 months, I wrote after they came. It was gifted. The book was gifted to me from above, literally. I believe my father sent it to me from heaven. Steve Bassett thinks it was an ET download. I don't know which is correct. I like to think it was from my dad. Now,
Makes sense.
who was my dad? Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
After he died, I found out who my dad was because I didn't really know while he was alive. My father was an electronics engineer and a physicist for the U.S. Army for 45 years. He worked at Fort Monmouth Army Base in New Jersey. Top secret military clearance. My father helped to invent military drones. My father helped invent drones. How about that?
Wonder where he learned that technology.
Well, my father was a genius. But
Yeah. Not beside that.
My father, here, this is interesting. My father had brothers and sisters. His oldest brother, Frank Harary, after we're done, if you Google Frank Harary, my uncle, world famous mathematician.
Wow.
Genius of geniuses. Now, I'm a moron, okay? I'm stuck in 15, like I told you. My dad and his brother were geniuses. How about that? It's pretty cool, right?
Crazy.
Okay.
That's so cool.
So my dad I know he did. He helped to invent drones. He also invented and designed missiles and radar systems for the Army. He worked at Army Base 45 years, top secret. He talked at the Pentagon quite often. He once told me he wrote papers that President Kennedy, Johnson, and Nixon had read. I thought that was impressive.
Wow.
When I asked him, I said, Dad, what did you do for work? He goes, I helped America win the Cold War. It's the only thing he ever said. I helped America to win the Cold War. Okay, so after my dad died, I'm writing this book, and I'm like, I wonder who my dad was, right? Because he was the greatest father in the world. Nicest guy in the world. Oh, my friends loved him. Musician, soft-spoken, nicest man. I miss him terribly. I dream about him all the time. Never knew what he did for a living. Never really knew.
Yeah.
Okay. I asked my mother, after my dad died, I said, did Dad ever talk about aliens or UFOs? Because for 45 years, every single thing my dad did had to do with the sky. Missiles, radar, drones. Okay. Everything my dad did had to do with the sky, right? My mother goes, my mother's still alive, as you know. And they were together for almost 30 years. They got divorced. Second wife, he moved to Florida. But your father once told me in the early 1950s, they took him into the vaults, deep into the vaults at Fort Monmouth at the Army base. And they showed him something top secret. And your father came home and he was shaking and pale and sweating. And I said, honey, what's wrong? And your father said, I saw something today above top secret. I could never tell you or anyone about as long as I live. And your father was never the same after that day. Now think about that story.
Wow.
He either saw a craft, an alien craft, or an alien body, or some kind of alien technology that blew his mind. I know he did. because I know my father.
Mhm.
She said he is never the same. Now isn't that remarkable? He was never the same. Is that
Did
amazing?
did she elaborate what she meant by that? Like what changed? But you get a sense from hearing her say it, because I know that
Now
experience, you know.
this is what's really cool. I never heard that story in my life until after my dad died. My mother never told me that story.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Had I not asked her, she never
yeah,
would have told me that
I
story.
know. I know.
Also, my mother said, "Your father went to White Sands Missile Testing Range all the time."
Mm.
Now, my
Mhm.
dad went on travel duty all the time. When I was a kid, he was gone a lot.
Mhm.
White Sands is where they tested military drones. I know that for
Um,
and new aircraft. I know that to be true for sure. That's the true statement. So, also after he died, I looked through his old papers. I found this was this is really cool too. In 1985 at Fort Monmouth, they did a profile of my dad for an internal newsletter. It says profiles Jack Harary. Well, I had this in my scrapbook for 40 years. 40 years. I never read it before. I didn't know I had. I didn't know. I didn't know I had it
mhm,
until after he
Mm.
died. I didn't know it was there. I didn't know. I read it, and it says Jack Harary, helped to our head of our drone program, laser technology from space that could destroy tanks on the ground, and he's won countless awards. I never knew my dad won any awards. He
Mm.
never said a word.
Mm.
My dad won
wow.
countless awards.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Okay, so now let's review. My dad worked for the Army for 45 years. He was a genius electronics engineer. My mother said he saw something top secret that blew his mind. He won all kinds of awards. He spoke at the Pentagon. Presidents read some of his reports. He went to White Sands all the time. I'll save the very last thing and then I'll get to the conclusion. Last summer, Stephen Greer, you know Stephen Greer.
Mhm.
Last summer in June, Stephen Greer gave a 3-hour press conference in Washington. In his talk, and I have this, he talks about 150 U.S. military bases that he has proof of that worked on reverse engineered craft. He showed a chart, which I have as a still frame, you guys. He showed the chart, 145 U.S. military bases that he has proof worked on ET technology. Number 51 was Fort Monmouth, New Jersey,
Mm.
Wow.
on Stephen Greer's chart. When I saw that, I called my mother. I said, "Mom, now I know.
Mm.
Now I know. I have proof now." Okay. My dad worked at Fort Monmouth. Stephen Greer proved it. When my dad and I saw a UFO in 1970, he knew what it was.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He knew what it was. Did he have a hand in designing it? Maybe. Had he seen it fly? Absolutely.
Mm.
Did he know how it worked? Absolutely. My dad knew what that stupid thing was.
Mm.
And
Wow.
when he winked at me, he was saying, "Danny, I know what that is.
Mhm.
I can't tell you,
Mm.
but don't be afraid. Everything's cool. I know what that is." Now I've told that story around the world. And George
Wow.
Norrie goes, "Dan, your story should be a movie." I go, "Thanks, George. You want to, thank you. Very nice. Terrific. Should be a movie. Of course it should." But my mother
Yeah.
goes, "Where's the movie? Where's the
Yeah.
movie?"
That's why I was gonna say the same thing. I was gonna say, goodness, you have access to all these Hollywood producers and writers. Come on, let's make a movie out of your life.
Listen, five producers have my book right now. None of them are racing to call me, Ariel. None of them.
Bummer.
Thomas Jane has my book. I'm waiting. He's a producer. I'm waiting for him. Dan, make a movie. I'm
I wonder how many more stories are like that in this country, that I feel like, do you I I have an uncle who worked for the DOE, top secret, and no one ever knew what he did. And I mean, we still don't know what he did, but in New Mexico. I'm from New Mexico, so
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and a lot of my family worked at the labs and things like that. So I always wonder if there's a connection and because I consider myself an experiencer, and these what the story you tell about the lost memory is really fascinating to me because there's one experience I have, and I still don't have a recovered memory, but I have photos of the day of the craft we captured in a still camera. And but it's like, how does your memory get wiped like that? It's just so fascinating.
Okay, that's a very good point. Some people have said or have asked me, Dan, did you have missing time with my father that day?
Mm.
We didn't have missing time. I wasn't taken anywhere. There's no
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But Chris, why did I forget for 47 years? That was a profound event in my life.
Mhm.
Right.
That changed my life, last year. I mean, I'm 68. I was 13 then, 14.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why would I have forgotten? And I think the answer is I wasn't ready to embrace what it was. I
Mm.
was into rock and roll. I told you, rock and roll hair, long hair, looking at girls, going to
Yeah.
college, high school, going to college, getting
Mhm.
married, having children, creating a career. I was not at that young age supposed to go off into the UFO side of things. Now, many of my friends, I have very dear friends who had experiences as children and young adults, and they've
Mhm.
been researching and pursuing and looking for answers since the age of 5. I have a good
Mhm.
friend since the age of 5. He's been getting abducted by the Pleiadians. He says they're the most beautiful, gorgeous men and women you could imagine. Gorgeous, long, white hair, tall. He said they're my friends. He calls them the light people.
Mhm.
He's 60 now. He's 60. He's been getting abducted since the age of 5. He's been looking his whole life to try to figure out what's happening. Not me. I forgot for 50 years. But when I remembered, boy, did I remember, right? I remembered, wrote a book, found out who my father was, created the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, became friends with every major UFO researcher, contacted in the desert. I'm like one of the people helping to run it. I have a podcast called Live from Hollywood. It's Paranormal Tonight. I just interviewed Nick Pope the other day. Everything changed. It's all
Right.
just in the past
Exactly.
13 months. My whole life changed because I had an event with my dad in
Mhm.
1970. So I don't know
That's
why I don't know
fascinating.
why I didn't remember, but I'm kind of glad it's on this side of my age, because when I was young, I don't know what I would have done with it then.
Right.
Mhm.
I think that's an important point is it seems like it does come into your life when it's time,
Mhm.
and it's interesting to me that because one of the patterns I've seen with other experiencers is it does tend to be at a traumatic time. And obviously the loss of your father is
Oh yeah.
probably one of the most traumatic times you're going to go through. And the fact that it kind of like came and brought you some sense of purpose and hope out of it, I think is really interesting.
Mhm.
I agree. Again, 3 days after he died, he gave me a gift from heaven, okay?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Also, the week he died, he spoke to me in my room. This is my next book is coming out in June. It's called My Paranormal Life.
Okay.
I'd like to come back on. It's called
Yes.
after my dad died. I'll tell you this one story, but he visited me in my bedroom a number of times.
Wow.
Let me tell you the first one. He died on a Monday. I had the deli thing on a Wednesday. That Friday, I was on a business trip in Silicon Valley with some clients. Went to bed, hotel room, Silicon Valley hotel room. 4 days after he died, 3 in the morning, sound asleep. From from underneath my bed, my mattress started to vibrate, and
I've
I
heard that.
heard, Danny, Jeannie changed my will. I sat up in bed. Now, Jeannie was my father's second wife. Only he called her Jeannie. Only my dad. No one, we called her Jean. Danny. Jeannie changed my will. My father had Alzheimer's the last 2 years of his life.
Oh.
I heard this as God is my witness. I sat up bed. I looked around the room. I looked under the bed. Okay. I thought maybe my dad's ghost was like hanging out. I called my brothers. We hired an attorney. My father's wife changed his will, changed his insurance policies while he had Alzheimer's, and none of us knew about that. Now,
Oh my.
talk about a message from heaven.
Oh my
That
God.
is insane.
Is that? And my
That
mother
is
goes, "My mother, you had a dream." It was, Mom, it was not a dream, because I woke up and I looked under the bed. Mom, it was not a dream. Not a dream. Okay, that's one of the
Wow.
many times my father has come to me afterwards.
So
So talk about a
interesting.
traumatic week I had. You know.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Oh
no
my God.
kidding. Wow, that's really fascinating. What an
Is that a
amazing
great?
life.
Isn't that just the great? Is that the greatest story you have? Because when I told my brothers, they were silent on the phone. They go, "Really?" And then we found out it was true. We didn't know. We didn't know. Nobody
That
knew. The
is
lawyer had to
insane.
call her lawyer, and we figured that out.
That is incredible. Wow, what an experience. And you never, or would you say you had paranormal experiences prior to this, or did it start at this time?
From the age of 5.
Mm.
Ah,
From the age of 5. No,
interesting.
voices, premonitions,
Mm.
dreams that came true.
Dreams.
Mhm.
Yeah,
When
me
I was
too.
5, I fell off a billboard sign that I was climbing. I think I died. And a creature, and I swear again, this is true, a creature saved my life. My mother thinks I was dreaming. A creature saved me. I think it was a gargoyle. Do you know what a gargoyle is?
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A gargoyle protects buildings and people.
Oh, I
I
didn't
was
know that.
this is the first story in my book, My Paranormal Life. I was climbing a billboard sign with 2 little girls from across the neighborhood. Inside the billboard sign, the wooden lattice inside a huge billboard sign for the drugstore at the end of my block where I lived. I fell. I remember falling off the sign. I remember clearly. I fell. I lost my grip. I fell. I was looking up at the sky. The next thing I remember, I was on a couch inside a house, a block from my house. I'd never been in this house before. No one was home. I woke up. I'm 5. I woke up. No one is there. I said, "Mom, Dad, like, what? What?" No one was there. So I stood up, and then I was going to go walk home. At the front door, a creature 7, 8 feet tall was at the door. He looked like, you know what, white chocolate, that color, white chocolate,
Yeah.
Mhm.
white chocolate, like a weird bull face, wings that had been
Mhm.
clipped, like wings, but that
Mhm.
had been cut off. He turned around, he snorted like this. He snorted at me,
Oh my gosh.
and then he walked through the door and vanished. Now I remember this clearly. My daughter, I told her, she goes, "Dad, I think that was a gargoyle."
Mhm.
Mm.
And I told him, "You're insane. You need to meet a nice girl and start dating again, Danny. I think you're insane." Mom, it happened. Danny, I think you're insane. So my mother
Oh,
believes. I dedicate that book. It says, "To my mother who believes not one of the stories recounted in this book."
I love that. I love that. I really want to meet your mother.
Yeah.
Joni, my son is insane. Danny, enough. It's enough with the aliens. Danny, it's
Mm.
enough with the aliens.
Mhm.
That's my mother.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing like so many
Oh,
great
sure.
stories. I really, really enjoyed hearing like
Yes, and
the
we absolutely wanna have you back on when your next book comes out. That would be so much fun.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Actually,
definitely.
I actually have 2 books. I have 2 books coming out the same day, June 10th.
Oh
That
my
one that
goodness.
I'm kind of prolific in my old age. That one, My Paranormal Life, and the other one is called Five, Five. Why is it 5? Well, it's my 5th book,
Mm.
but It's fiction, dark fiction.
Mm.
It's a story of a serial killer who gets reincarnated throughout time.
Interesting.
In the 1870s Europe, he's a famous
Ooh.
theater actor who kills women. He dies. 100 years later, he's reincarnated. He becomes the most famous pop music star in the world in the 1970s.
Mm.
Pop music star. I walk 5 miles every other day, so I'm like 5. I walk 5 miles. Gotta write
Mm.
gotta write a 5th book. 5. Fievel. Fievel. Okay, character Fievel, his nickname is Five. So Fievel is the serial killer. He gets reincarnated through time. That comes out June 10th. So I have 2 books coming out on June 10th.
Are your
Wow.
books going to be at the are you going to have a booth?
Just after they came. At the
Okay.
Contact. It'll be at
Oh,
the
just after
HDA.
then.
At the
Yeah,
HDA,
okay.
but yeah, I'll be signing it and selling it at
I'll
Contact.
definitely grab a copy of that book because I'm definitely interested in reading something about benevolent beings.
Yeah, well, that's why my book.
Because it's hard to come by, and
That's why my
yeah,
book made an impact, Chris. Exactly, because when I've been
yeah,
promoting it, people go, benevolent aliens,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
real benevolent aliens. Everywhere I go, yeah. Why
yeah.
can't they be? Why can't they be
I
benevolent?
feel the same way. Like, how do we know? Like, how do we know? I mean, we do what we always assume the worst. And one of the things I tell people when I was a child, I used to have a huge fear of aliens. And I'd have nightmares all the time of these, I would call alien invasions. But then I realized that was the story I was telling myself. I think that the aliens were just visiting, and then we would start war with them, and it would end up being a war, not so much an invasion. And so I've changed the way I tell that story because I think, I was telling it based on all the culture, right? Pop culture is that they're always malevolent, and I haven't found that yet. I haven't found that personally anyways. So I'm open to hearing another side of it.
All right, so a couple of things. Stephen Bassett thinks once disclosure comes and we know about them, people are going to be dancing in the streets and there'll be rainbows and unicorns, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nick Pope says,
Mm-hmm.
I've heard they're demonic.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason we haven't been told. Be careful. Be careful. I know both men very well. Nick
Right.
goes, be careful what you wish for.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What I'm hearing is that they're demonic, and there's a reason the government never told us.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who's right? Is Steve Bassett right? Is Nick Pope right? I believe there are many, I didn't invent this. Many, many people have said that there are different races, many different races.
Yeah.
My friend Mark Glenn Moore, who's been getting abducted by Pleiadians for 55 years, is a very successful businessman. I know him very well. He is not insane.
Mm.
He says Pleiadians come and go from his life. His brother died when he was a little kid. His parents were having problems. He got abducted at 5. They said they taught him about love and peace and understanding, how to get along with others, how to protect the environment, how to be kind to planet Earth. And he said they're teachers. Okay. Well, those are the beings in my book after they came.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah.
Then
Well,
if they're demonic, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I have a friend who's a abductee who would say that their experiences were very traumatic as a child and everything, of course, but that the beings themselves, they do not get a sense of malevolence from the beings, that they're, obviously it's still traumatic to be abducted and nobody wants to do that, but they feel that they're serving a purpose in some way and in advancing society and civilization, and they feel benevolent feelings from these beings. So that's why I find it interesting that there's more than one story that's told, because I think that we only hear one very frequently.
Well, it's because the easy explanation would be there are different races, just like there are different races of humans. And if there are different races, some are benevolent, some are benign, and some are evil. I absolutely if you talk to, I mean, Travis Walton was tortured.
Yes.
Mhm.
Betty and Barney Hill, okay, they took sperm, they took eggs. They were not partying that day.
Right.
Not that so much that they were evil, but they did very invasive things to
Mhm.
Right.
people.
Right.
The Pleiadians, according to my friend Mark, are gentle, kind, and wonderful. Clearly, there are different races with different agendas.
Mhm.
Well, and I guess maybe me being a little bit more specific, maybe we need to not, maybe the races aren't the difference. Maybe there's good and evil within races. I mean,
Right.
Oh well, sure.
within
Yeah,
beings.
well, yeah.
You know,
Look
we
at
can't just assume that one race is all the same, you know.
look at the Nazis. They weren't the nicest guys on the planet. They were humans, sort of. They were
Yep.
semi-human.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You know, if we all judged humanity based on one group of people, we would all be in trouble. So, and I
Right,
think that's
exactly.
my biggest concern is just being open to the fact that it can go either way, and for us not to just immediately prejudge if we do encounter these beings in the future, you know.
Do
But
do
to be
you know?
prepared.
I know we have to wrap. Do you guys
Yes.
know the original Twilight Zone TV show? The original
Yes.
from the
Yes,
50s.
the black and white one.
Black.
Mhm.
All right. So you guys, you have to watch this because it's remarkable. That one of the episodes was called "To Serve Man."
Oh,
To
yeah, I
serve.
know about this. I know about this.
You
Yeah.
do?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll tell Chris. So to
Yeah,
serve
you tell.
man. Now I was 12 when I saw it the first time, and I've watched it 10 times since, and every time I love it. Chris, and to serve man, the episode, aliens come to Earth. They reveal themselves to Earth, and everyone thinks they're benevolent and kind, right? And the
Uh-oh.
lead alien is like 12 feet. He's got this super fake, dopey head.
Mhm.
It's super bad makeup special effect. And he's walking around with this book in his arms. And the book is in alien language, the lettering. Well, during the course of the book, this one lady, scientist, figures out what those letters are. But meanwhile, the aliens have said, people of Earth, come on our ship. We want to show you the universe. We want to show you the universe. We're benevolent, and we're your new best friends. So people are lining up and going onto the ship, and he's
Is
standing
that
there
what
with
you
the book.
mean?
They're going on, and as this lady's friend is about to go on the ship, the lady scientist says, "Bill, don't go on the ship. The book, To Serve Man, it's a cookbook. It's a cookbook." And I had chills just now telling you, and this is a 70-year-old TV show.
Yep.
It's To Serve Man,
Wow.
it's a cookbook.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. That is
Rod
terrifying.
Rod
That is
Serling. So you got to
terrifying.
watch that episode.
Oh man. Yeah, I have a lot of catching up to do when it comes to
And Ariel,
sci-fi.
you must watch The Day the Earth Stood Still, the original.
I am. That is on my to-do list.
Okay, you must.
All right. Well, thanks so much for spending the time with us today. This
Sure.
was a ton of fun, and I can't
Sure.
wait to meet you in person at the end of May at Contact in the Desert.
Sure.
You know, before we wrap up, can you just let people know how they can get tickets, like just a few quick details on Contact in the Desert, and then we'll wrap up from there.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, thank you both very much for having me. I appreciate it. Check out my books, After They
Yeah.
Came and Flirting with Fame. They're both on Amazon. If you want to reach me, danharariauthor.com, danharariauthor.com. HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org. Please donate.
Mhm.
Okay. Contactinthedesert.com. Contactinthedesert.com. May 30 through June 3rd, Indian Wells, California. The airport closest is Palm Springs. Beautiful. I was there last year. Gorgeous, beautiful resort. 75 major guest speakers,
Mhm.
top UFO researchers in the world. It's the 10th anniversary of Contact in the Desert. It'll be the biggest UFO event conference ever. It will be for sure. It'll be the biggest one ever. I'm running the press room. I'm running the HDA booth. I'm doing a lecture on the 3rd called Why My Father Was Involved with the Military UFO Program. I told you that's 2 months from today. So I'm
That's
doing a
great.
lecture. I'm running the HDA panel with Dee Wallace and Thomas Jane and other famous people. So contactinthedesert.com, you can get tickets there. You can get tickets for the whole event, all the 6 days, or for the first time, they're offering single day passes, and that's a big deal. So you don't have
Yeah.
to go for 6, you can go for 1.
Mhm.
Also, first time ever, my idea, the Women of Ufology panel.
Woo, yes, cannot wait for that one.
In fact,
That's
right before I spoke to you guys, there's a writer with Vice Media in London who I just did a Zoom with. She wants to do a story, The Women of Ufology. So I may hook you guys up. Gretchen?
Please,
Yeah.
please do. We would love
Okay.
that.
So
Yeah.
The
Yes.
Women of Ufology, my idea, first time ever, and Legends of Ufology.
Yes.
They'll be honoring the legends of ufology who will be there live in person. So contactinthedesert.com. Get tickets. I'll see you
Can't
there.
wait.
Chris, I'll see you there. Ari, I'll hope to see you
You there.
someday. And
Yeah.
All right.
And behalf on, behalf of women in ufology, thank you for that. Thank you for highlighting
Yes.
women in this field. That's part of why we're doing this podcast is we want to draw more women into this community and into this field. So I hope that panel will help inspire more women to get involved.
not absolutely. And not only that, after we hang up here, I will email you some of my female friends in your field. And if you're interested, I'll hook you up for interviews because listen, I love women. I've always loved women, and I'm glad to help women out. Okay, so there you go.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
My dog's gonna join us, guys.
Oh my God, that's the biggest dog. I hope he doesn't eat you, Chris.
I know.
I know.
Please,
Thank you so much.
Check out.
You better feed him lunch before he eats you. All right.
Thanks for tuning in to the Elephant in the Room podcast. If you've enjoyed our conversations, content, and guests, we greatly appreciate your support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the podcast with your friends and family and on your social medias. Your feedback means the world to us as we continue to explore the topics that matter most. Until next time, stay curious and keep the conversation going.